Poor Solar. Apparently it happened again. What I've got for you today is a game from the grand finals of the ESL Open Cup Korea. Now this particular game was played yesterday, and apparently, spoiler alert for this particular match, although you've probably already read the title, and I guess I'll probably be putting it on the thumbnail as well. Apparently Solar once again ended up losing his entire army to a tactical nuke. I'll talk about that a little bit more as we'll experience this game in just a moment, but spotting here in the bottom left-hand corner of Data C, playing with the red Zerg drones. We have the man who's still feeling pretty good about himself right now, but before too long, this game is going to turn out to be a bit of a disaster. We're looking at Solar's main hatchery. His opponent in the opposite corner with the blue Terran SCVs, he's from China, and he goes by the nickname of Time. Although apparently, recently, he's been playing under the nickname of Oliveira. Not entirely sure as to why, but I've noticed that for a couple of months right now. So here's the situation. Historically speaking, over the last, I want to say maybe 5 to 6 years or so, at this level of play, so at the tippity top of the skill level, it's only happened 3 times that I know of that someone lost their entire army to a tactical nuke. And here's the problem. Every single time, it's been Solar. He had it happen once on Romanticide versus Maru. That was an absolute banger of a tactical nuke.
There's the defensive nuke, the panic nuke, but I mean, it takes a pretty huge mistake from a Zerg player to fall for this and get hit by that.
Oh my God.
Oh my goodness, he's trying to get that shot. It does land. He gets all the Brood Lords. What? Oh my God.
Oh my God.
It also happened against Byan, I believe, in an ESL Open Cup in the past. And apparently yesterday, once again, Solar's Kryptonite came out. I'm not entirely sure as to why, though, it happens to him in particular. So obviously, when you see a tactical nuke getting deployed in a game, right, while I'm casting the match, for example, while I'm observing a game, there's an obvious indicator on the minimap as to where that nuke is. You'll notice that in a little bit as the nuke starts flying. Here's the problem. Obviously, Solar does not see that. He just hears that a tactical nuke has been deployed and that he, well, has to find a red dot. All he sees is just one tiny little red dot. I've had my army nuked a couple of times in the past, and every single time, the reason why that happened, well, you know, not every single time, but the vast majority of the times that has happened is because I was playing with the red colors myself. Now, you can tell right here that Solar did spawn as red in this game, but that doesn't necessarily mean that he should be looking at his own army with the red colors as well. Because it turns out finding a red dot on everything being red is really, really difficult. So I'm hoping for Solar's sake that that is not the reason as to why it is. You can hit Alt plus F on the keyboard, by the way, if you're ever in a game of StarCraft 2 and you did spawn as red and you're looking for a tactical nuke. Alt plus F to change your color on the fly, to change it to your alternate setting. But anyhow, I'm excited to find out exactly what ended up going down between these two. That being said, there was a clip on the StarCraft 2 subreddit. It was at the very top of the StarCraft 2 subreddit showing the nuke, so I watched that highlight clip. But it didn't really look like it was like one of those, haha, game over type of nukes necessarily. So I'm curious to see who ends up winning this match, because I wouldn't be surprised if actually Solar had a pretty good shot in that game still. I just looked at the supply count and the amount of resources that both of the players had, and, well, there certainly was a chance to rebuild. Let's leave it at that. Anyhow, let us see exactly what ended up going down in this game. Alright, a little bit of a spicy start here from Time as he goes straight into the Fusion Core. So this is him going for a triple CC start, so triple command center. Relatively late starport because of that. Relatively late Fusion Core as well, but he's got to be able to get those battle cruisers going. I have seen a couple of games of Time over the last couple of months, and one thing that Time has been doing time and time again is he's been going for that very turtle-ish style. So one thing that the man currently loves to do is just sit there and make stuff. And then make more stuff. And then take another base, and then guess what? Make more stuff. And eventually he's maxed out, and he, you know, makes more stuff, mostly in the form of more command centers. Right? That's what we've seen him do quite a bit. Oftentimes, actually, he's been playing a bio into mech. I've also seen him straight mech. And Data C is definitely a map where that is possible. So, yeah, we'll see what Oliveira here decides to go for. In the meantime, of course, Solar, one of the very best macro Zergs in the world, theoretically speaking, he shouldn't be struggling against that sort of army composition all too much. I mean, it's a legit unit comp, but in general, Zergs have had a lot of practice against that turtle style over the last couple of years, and You know, even though I don't cover those turtle games all too frequently on the YouTube channel, because honestly, like, I can only cast so many turtle games in a week, right? Like, say, I mean, I casted that very long ZVP. When was that? That video went up yesterday. I casted that like 3 days ago. But anyways, yeah, I posted that really long video. Those slower games, I mean, they're fun to watch occasionally, right? Every week or two, it's pretty fun to see a slower game. But it's definitely relatively common in tournaments as well as on the ladder for players to go for those, yeah, more laid-back approaches. It's just that I don't think they're necessarily as much fun to watch compared to, for example, a bio-based player. Anyhow, Battlecruiser. Done. Are we still gonna jump it across the map? Yeah, we are. Alright, so he sends it straight to the opponent's third base. And rather than splitting up the what are they called, the Hellions right here together with the Battlecruiser, they've decided to join up. So oftentimes what we see is Battlecruiser in the main base, Hellions at the third. One reason as to why that's really good is because then the queens have to split up as well. In this particular case though, Solar just sending all the queens over here, and so far this Battlecruiser has achieved a whole lot of nothing. But what it is achieving right now is it's buying a bunch of time for time to... God. It's buying a bunch of time for time, okay? For him to go for additional factories. He's gonna go for the Yamato cannon upgrade as well. Second Battlecruiser just about to pop out. He's gonna go double armory. Okay, so this is time playing a super slow game. This is as slow as you can play Terran right now in the current meta. So his overall goal in this game is to go for one of those unbeatable unit compositions, right? That seems to be what he likes to do. So usually what you do is you open up with bio, and then you go into siege tanks, and eventually you mix in ghosts, and then when your Marine Marauder dies, you've mixed in, you know, even more mechanical units. Time in this particular match is skipping a step, right? So rather than going bio first, he is going straight into mech. And usually what Time likes to do is then mix in ghosts later. Because the ultimate Terran unit composition against Zerg is that mechanical-based unit comp, right? Especially Thors and maybe a couple of Blue Flame Hellbats and a bunch of siege tanks and all that, right? Maybe a couple of Battlecruisers, they definitely don't hurt. But then Ghost to support that army as well, because the Ghosts just have so much utility in the late game. So Time here taking a little bit of a risk, going straight into that direction here, just going straight for what seems to be that maxed out army approach. The problem, of course, is that on many maps, you will just simply get overrun with a Zerg player expanding everywhere. But on a map like this, it's relatively easy to take 4 bases for practically free. It's hard for the Zerg to actually push into the third base as well as the fourth. So this is one of those maps where you can definitely go... Ooh, there goes Brenda. You can definitely go for a more, yeah, laid-back approach. The Battlecruisers, of course, they are forcing out a Spire. So Corruptors just about to pop. Queens just transfusing wherever they can help each other out. And eventually these BCs will be pushed back. They have tactical jump available, so as long as they are paying attention, he should be able to get out of here. I think he needs to jump right now because he's seen the Spire. I don't think there's any... Okay, yeah, I don't think there's any reason to stick around there, because you know that Corruptors are going to not be too far behind. Alright, so Zerg does have a couple options against this sort of thing. There's nothing, guys. Sorry. Zerg can obviously go for that very swarmy approach, right? We've seen Zerg go for Roach Ravager, Ling Bane a lot, with Corruptors, for example, in the air. Like Roach Ravager, Corruptor is also very potent. You have a lot of unit compositions that you can go for, but Solar is very much so the kind of guy that will look at this sort of passive play and then think to himself, you know what? If you want to be passive, I'm going to be passiver, right? I'm going to be even more passive than you. Because you can take 4 bases pretty easily, but I can take like 7 bases pretty easily. And what are you going to do about that? So that is very much so the approach I've seen Solar take many times. And that will probably eventually lead into that nuke, right? Because I've got a feeling that, yeah, Solar will, well, maybe go for some aggression. I wouldn't be too surprised. It's just hard to break, and this is definitely a map where you can continuously expand if you want to. So I wouldn't mind seeing Solar go all the way up to even like 100 workers. Maybe that's a little bit extreme, but if you can mine with 100 workers, you can really quickly get a ridiculous amount of resources. And if you then dedicate a lot of those resources to denying a 5th base from the Terran player, they're gonna have to make a move across the map at some point. Anyhow, for now, Time is just sitting back, going for the Infernal Pre-Igniter, adding on additional factories here. Not bad whatsoever. Missile turrets coming up as well, just as detectors, and making sure that he knows exactly what is happening here. Say there's a I don't know, a cheeky little infestor trying to go underneath. Not gonna happen anymore, because now there's detection because of the missile turret guy. Look, there he is. You see him? He's sitting right there inside of the missile turret. Anyways, couple of banelings here do connect with some Hellions. The Hellions are mostly just a stepping stone. Ideally, against Brute Lord-based armies, you do want to have a couple of Hellbats in the mix. But ideally, you want to drop all of your gas on those siege tanks and Thors and all that, right? You go for the heavy hitters. And then with some leftover money, you make some Hellions too, since the Hellions only cost minerals. Same for the Hellbats, of course. They only cost minerals. And yeah, it's just a nice little dump, so... Usually we'll see him roaming around with some Hellions here, making some small moves, but ultimately these guys are just meant to, well, drop some minerals with. Speaking of dropping minerals though, now the barracks are coming up. Ghost Academy also building, so Oliveira here, time setting himself up for that, that Ghost transition. One thing that I have mentioned many times before is that I would love to see some Ravens mixed in as well with those ultimate Terran armies. We never really see it, so it's usually very Siege Tank Thor Ghost heavy. I would love to see like 2 Ravens or so. Now I know it's technically a little bit dangerous because if you get Neuraled and then the anti-armor missile gets thrown on the Terran units themselves, that can be a disaster, but I do think it would be a, yeah, very good option. Solar indeed though, just expanding all over the map, grabbing practically every base that is up to his disposal other than, well, he doesn't have the drones to mine all of that, right? But other than maybe some of the outer expansions. But now Mr. Time is maxed. It's taken about 11 minutes, but he got there. He's got some pretty good upgrades as well, although nothing all too crazy just yet. He's even started engineering bay upgrades too. I actually kind of dig that. Going for the Ghost and trying to give them some more survivability, since most of their damage output comes from spells anyways. You don't really need to prioritize the attack upgrades, although it's probably something he'll do if he ever gets to +3 armor. The main unit to worry about at this point in the game, usually, from the Zerg, is the Brute Lord. We've seen a lot of heavy Brute Lord play. So it turns out Thors are pretty good against like 10 Brute Lords, but they kind of suck against 40. So, yeah, Thors are good units for the time being, but again, not necessarily what you want to be maxed out on for all too long. 5th Command Center, though, now being denied. I would actually really like to see Zerg heading on over in that direction. It's already too late, though. No way. No way. Really? Okay, well. Time was thinking, too. Yes way. Yes way. Run into my siege tanks. I love it when you do that, but that would have been dangerous. I love the Sim City, by the way, that he's already setting up here. So, beautiful choke points here. If Zerg wants to move up, they're gonna go through those choke points, and then the siege tanks can deal maximum amounts of damage. Blinding clouds, though, being thrown left, right, and center. And these engagements really do not spark a lot of confidence, Solar. Not all too impressed by that at all. So he's sticking around on Rogeling Bane for now. Couple of Ravagers in the mix, too. But we have already seen that Greater Spire. We've got the Neural Parasite, as well as the Pathogen Glands for the Infestors coming up. So Solar is getting late-game units ready, but apparently he's not making that transition just yet. Just focusing on more of the same, and he's probably gonna try and play that good old Zerg trick, right? Where you suddenly show up, and then you show up with an entirely different unit composition about a minute or two later. Okay. So we're headed just straight for a full split map. You see why I love Time. He's a great player, but you see why I don't necessarily cast that many of his games lately? Because this is what half of the games look like. I mean, I'm already running out of things to talk about. It's fine for a game like this, but if I'm casting a full best of 5 or a best of 7 and there's like 5 games that are... Yeah. Anyways. I think a lot of people would lose interest pretty fast as well. It would turn into the one-man Loco podcast again, which maybe is not that big of a deal. Maybe it's not that big of a problem, but I can tell you about my life. Alright. Hellbats. Getting some damage in, but obviously worker kills at this point. Not that important anymore. Top left-hand base. Trying to be acquired here by Time, but there's a Zergling underneath trying to be annoying. And it looks to me like Solar is being very obnoxious here. Somehow the command center, even though it's got little legs on the outside and the Zergling is burrowed on the ground, somehow this is one of the things that science cannot explain. That command center cannot land. I know, I know, I can't explain it to you either, man. Seems fair to me, though. As a Zerg player, I think it's a wonderful mechanic. But I do think it's a little funky. I hate it when my science fiction video game is unrealistic. The SCV probably agrees with me. Yeah, so this is a full-on split map right now. There's one more expansion over here that Solar probably wants to mine. But 15 minutes in, it seems to me that time maybe wants to go for a little bit of a move. Is it that time? Are we really going to do it? Amazing. So you know, be nice here, time. I'm just saying, man. I know Terran players tell me it's not, but you know, a Raven. So you don't have to scan 17 times. I know scans are not really what you're lacking at this point anyways, because you got 5 orbitals. We can probably add on a couple more. Wouldn't mind seeing that. I do love seeing the creep, by the way, slowly claim that command center too. It's kind of cool. Anyways, yeah, he's got a lot of scans available, and obviously scans have a lot of range, so you might still want to scan. But if we're looking at like the ultimate Terran unit compositions, I've got a feeling that mixing in a couple of those heavy hitters would not be a bad idea with the Ravens, right? Such phenomenal spellcasters. I guess the Terrans don't think that they need it, but he's got money for it, that's for sure. Speaking of money right now, if you look at the banks of both of these players, if you compare it to the cost of their armies, yeah, they can remax a couple of times. Yeah, not a couple of times, but they can remax once. Because I don't think Solar is going to remax on this unit composition again. We've seen Zerg players many times sitting at like 10k, 10k. His gas cost here is just not that impressive. Okay. Battlecruiser's going back home. So the game plan right here for time is essentially to try and mine out as many resources as his opponent does. Because if the entire map is split perfectly 50-50, oh, is he finally gonna commit? I think he is. Terran will usually have an upper hand. Okay, this is a very expensive trade though for the Zerg. Like, he's killed like 3 units there from the Terran, and he lost a ton of army himself. Look at the resources lost already. This is what time is banking on. So, quite literally, actually, this is what he's trying to make a bank for. Because he knows that if both players mine out half of the map, even if Zerg gets an entire extra base, oftentimes he will still be able to squeeze out a victory. Now the Brute Lord transition is coming up, though. Maybe, yeah, it was an idea of making it a surprise, but time has already scanned it perfectly, and he knows exactly when the opponent is making that shot. Either way, we've got ourselves the Liberators now also coming up. I think this is mostly time just looking at literally every single tech structure that he's got and just building whatever he can. I'm assuming both players will have maxed out upgrades. Zerg actually still missing the +3 armor. For the ground units, that is. Okay. One of the battle cruisers. Ooh, it ended up going down. Yikes. Most exciting moment in the last 18 minutes, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, no. I'm glad, though, that this is like a viable playstyle, but I'm even more glad that this is like a relatively uncommon playstyle at the highest level. Because imagine that literally every single game of Terran versus Zerg would be, you know, this passive, right? It would just, I think a lot of people would get pretty bored of it pretty quick. Whereas right now, it happens every once in a while. It happens like on specific maps, depending on the player. Data C, a great map for exactly this playstyle. Planetary Fortress in the choke points as well. Problem is though, this is Solar, yeah, getting a base over here, and that's nice and all. But he's lost the expansion on this end of the map, and I'm pretty sure that this section of the map is more important as far as infrastructure goes than this one right over here. Okay. Liberators, Thors, Hellions, Hellbats. We're even going into the +1 air weapons attack right there. So, you know, if he wants to go for a mass battlecruiser transition, that is certainly an option. Okay, so how many Brute Lords are we on? 16 right now. Not too long ago, I casted a game of professional ZVT where the Zerg literally went for 40 Brute Lords. Which would be kind of sick. It definitely is very, very strong against this type of unit composition, though, because even though there's a lot of counters here against those what are they called? Against those brutes. If there's more than enough brutes, since they can clump up together like that, you can really keep those Thors as well as all of those ghosts pinned back really, really nicely. Okay. So Hellbats trying to get some damage done here together with the Thor. And this is starting to look more and more blue right now on the minimap, right? If you look at the amount of resources that are available at this point, it's still favoring Solar ever so slightly, but Time is doing an excellent job. Ooh, beautiful snipes over here as well. Even the Liberators with some of that terrible air-to-air ability of theirs, dealing some damage too. Just a supplemental amount of damage and definitely not hurting at all. Slowly but surely, though, the map is becoming more and more blue as Time is gobbling up as many of those expansions as possible. He is spread very thin, so every once in a while we see a siege tank going down for free. But his main goal is just to mine out as many bases as possible. He just secured the bases in the top left. I mean, this one he's had for a little bit, it feels like, but anyways. Drones are, Terran drones that is, are heading on over in that direction. Okay, so the Brute Lord number is growing. We've got 16 here. Brute Lord, Infestor, Viper, Corruptor, Queen, with some Lings and some Banes for support. 4 additional command centers right now coming up as well. Okay, you know what? Most games that are played like this are relatively passive, but this is like... Is this the dreaded Nuke, by the way? This is exceptionally passive. Like, we're 22 minutes into this game. And yeah, sure, like, some fights have happened, resources have been lost. But both players are just walking on their toes the entire time, man. Being very careful to not anger the opponent. You don't want to upset your neighbors, okay? Very important. Zerglings are going around, trying to get damage done wherever they can. Additional Ghost Academies are being added into the mix. The Tactical Nuke. I don't know if it's going to be this nuke or if there's going to be multiples behind it. But there is a Tactical Nuke now available. We're even going to go for the medevac improvements here. Alright. How many medevacs does he have? 3. Well, maybe boosting the Thors around can be helpful at a later stage. I want to see the nukes, man. There's another nuke coming up. Okay, there's multiple nukes. Spore crawlers hitting away at a command center. You love to see it. Can we do some scans over here, please? Guys, is that the one? Is this the one? Is this the one? Is this the one? No, I think it's the one. Oh no, there's the tactical nuke coming out of that ghost. He's trying to fly away, but there it is. Not quite as big as that nuke against Maru, but that was still gigantic. Look at the resources lost at this point. I'm actually gonna go back. I want to see that nuke again. So we're currently at 32,000 resources lost. And then we're at 39. In the meantime, while Solar was desperately looking around the map, I guess the problem is that most of the time when nukes are being used, it's on one of the outer bases. So I'm actually, hold up, I'm gonna go back again. I'm gonna go back again to the point where that nuke starts, and then I want to go to Solar's vision. So I think this is where the nuke is starting to, or the ghost rather, is starting to head into position. Yep, there he goes. And this is when the nuke gets deployed. Okay, so this is the Terran's point of view. This is the Zerg's point of view. Let's have a look. Oh my god, actually, hold up. Wait. No, the nuke didn't... What just happened? I'm very confused here. That guy is practically invisible. Oh my god, wait, I was trying my best to spot that ghost. But that guy was... I'm gonna go back again. I missed it even though I knew it was there. So I'm pretty sure that that is time going into the smartest position there. I'm not exactly sure if the observer interface right here in the replay shows us the identical view of what Solar saw in this match. So this is Solar's vision. That's the nuclear launch detected. Yeah, he's looking around. He's looking around right now. He's looking around. Oh no, he's looking around. He's looking around for where that nuke is going. Oh, poor guy. Sorry. That is... Oh, that is so rough. That is so rough. The sad thing is that it's happened against Solar every time. So this little doodad, right? That the map developer, the map maker, he probably just put it there just for the fun of it. He probably just put that little doodad in that location just to be cool. Yeah, it turns out it can deal a lot of damage. Anyways, I knew it was coming and I still didn't notice. I'm pretty sure that a part of that is due to the fact that the observer interface is a little bit different. Hey, would you look at that? Okay, time. Let's go, time. Let's go. He's going for Ravens. He's even going for the Corvid reactor. Which, you know, I can't say without my video getting demonetized. It's Corvid, okay? Because it's a Raven. Get it? It's in the family. Anyways. Animals. Let's see. So that is, by the way, the Raven energy improvement. Here we go. Solar is remaxed pretty rapidly, though. Even though that was a pretty expensive set of units for him to lose, he's got a good amount of money still. You need a couple of blinding clouds or something here in order to really shut this down, man. Those Thors are having a grand old time. Okay, now finally the blinding clouds are landed on top of the Thors and they're forced to back off. Solar still with a lot of resources in the bank. He's lost a lot of gas, right? That's the most important part here for him. He's lost a lot of gas. He's got minerals for days, but yeah, losing that gas here was super critical. He's done an excellent job, though, in this game, constantly denying those outer bases from his opponent. Now, the Thors and the Ghosts, though, they have a beautiful set of range here, right? A beautiful arc set up. This Concave is fantastic against those clumped up Brute Lords, and definitely getting some good value over there once again. Problem is, though, time is by no means running out of resources himself just yet. There's another tactical nuke. This time around, heading towards the static defense right over here. A couple of spine crawlers poking away at a newly acquired expansion. This time around, Solar has spotted it. Yeah, so he was looking at all these outer bases. He was looking at the most likely position as to where that nuke was gonna go. Like the previous, the one that landed on his army. He was looking all over the map, assuming it was not gonna be going on his army again. I feel bad for Solar, man. That's really rough. I mean, maybe there have been more nukes at this level of play that I have just missed or something, but I feel like people would be... People love watching big technical nukes in StarCraft too, okay? I know you guys love watching big nukes, myself included, so it's, yeah, it's cool to see, but I feel like if if Serral, for example, would have lost an entire army worth to a tactical nuke, that would be shared too. I swear, like, if Dark would that have Rain, or like if any of those other guys had that happen to them, I'm pretty sure those highlight clips would be on the top of the StarCraft Reddit as well. So there are only 3 nukes that I know of the last couple of years that have happened at this level of play. All of them have been Solar. Anyways, ooh, beautiful blinding cloud over here though. This Queen's getting a lot of value. This choke point is not where you want to fight, time. Solar making the best of this very tricky scenario. Now a couple of these Zerglings are ready to jump in as well. Keep in mind, there are indeed neural parasites available. There's also, however, a bunch of blue flame hellbats. This fight is still pretty dang good, I think, for Solar, but he doesn't have enough money to reinforce. So he's trying to make the best of this scenario. Oh no, he's run out of gas. He's run out of gas. I actually think that if that nuke didn't happen, it's really hard to say if Solar would have won this game if that nuke did not happen. But he sure would be able to reinforce this army over here significantly better. I think in the end, he may have been able to squeeze out a victory. Anyways, hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you did, make sure you hit that like button down below. And if you aren't subscribed already, make sure you do so you get notified as soon as future videos go live. Today, I also want to give a special shout out to the Patreon supporters. Thank you guys so much for all of the support over the years. But for now, have a great rest of your day. Don't forget to smile, and I'll see you once again in the next one.